How's it going, guys? This is Luke from Coffee House, and today here in sunny Detroit, Michigan, what I wanted to do is make a quick little video pre-coffee, and talk about what we did this weekend. What we did do this weekend was we went to the Specialty Coffee Association Expo, SCA, over in Portland with a bunch of the team here from Coffee House. 6 of us went. This was the team's first foray into the Specialty Coffee Association Expo, so it was really interesting for a lot of them, be it roasting, be it design, all of the individual things. It was very interesting to all of these people in their own respective fields in the company, which is really awesome to see, really rewarding. We had a great time. We get to stay out in the woods in Portland. There's a waterfall in the backyard. It was really, really awesome. But what I wanted to do for those who did not happen to make it to SCA is go through some videos that we took of new products here at SCA and give you my kind of 2 cents on each of those individual products so that you can know what's coming in the future very, very soon. Without further ado, I wanted to keep this kind of short video, just go through the videos that I do have, and I'll put those up on the screen. We can watch them and then I can give you a take on them. But ultimately, I wanted to give you a bit of a preview into what SCA was. Before we jump in, I want to thank Mel Koenig and their American counterparts for getting us to SCA. We very much appreciate the generosity in that regard. And for everybody involved, we have some cool stories along the way. We did a very big trade with Douglas Weber from Weber Workshops, which we'll have in an upcoming video, which was very, very cool. Can't wait to tell you all about that. But let's just jump into it. All right, so first up is the new Fellow Scale. This is one of the most important products, I think, and before we talk about it, let's go ahead and watch that video, at least a couple clips of it, show you some pictures and things like that, and then we can talk about it.
First I'm going to start with, so there's 3 settings: brew assist, timer, weight. So you can put your weight in. You can also then toggle between the different
that's really nice.
weight measurements. And then timer if you just want to set it, put your weight on there.
Right.
So then brew assist is basically eliminating the calculation, the mental math of having to do it together. So you, this is going to be a little tricky to demonstrate, but basically.
So you set the ratio.
You set the ratio. It tells you what it gives you the weight.
I mean, so
From
this is the first actual competitor to Acaia.
That's what the mark brewing, and so you put it on there, you tear it again, you set it, and then once you start pouring the water. Oh. There we go. Once the water hits, then it starts counting, and then once it hits your goal weight, then it'll flash at you, and then you're good to go.
Wow, actually great.
Yeah, and then of course, much like with all of our products, we have a game on it.
Yes.
So if you go all the way to the end, and then you hit, we got jumpy.
Oh, jumpy.
So it's like a little bit of, so you can do a high jump or a little jump. And then you're jumping over Atmos.
All right, so what we see there is Fellow's new Tally Pro scale that they're coming out with. This, as you've seen, does have a game, which was very fun, but it is very interesting to see that Fellow's coming out with a scale. I think in Fellow's form, it looks just like all the other products that they do make, so it'll fit really well in the ecosystem. It has kind of like the pro level of the Stag Kettle finish on it, and that plate on top is actually removable and washable, which is really nice. They say it is water resistant, but it is not waterproof, but many scales it would be very difficult to make them waterproof with charging and everything like that. That said, it's very interesting. There's a lot of helpful brew kind of anecdotes in there, ratios and things like that help new coffee people understand pour overs and how to make better coffee. But ultimately, I think this is going to be a very important item, and I think it's going to be very widely adopted in the home environment. In the commercial environment, maybe not so much. It does feel maybe a little cheap for the commercial world. I still think Acaia is not going to be very much disrupted in that commercial environment, but in the home environment, most definitely so.
We are taking pre-books now, so if you're already on the portal.
Is there a way, because we did this for the Opus, but to review?
So that was an interesting quick clip of the interior of the Fellow Opus, which is their brand new conical, multifaceted grinder. But I think the clear was really interesting, kind of gave me like the old Game Boy feel. It's not something that was for sale, but I thought it was interesting and I thought you should look at it because it does give you kind of an understanding of what's going on inside of the Opus, which was very, very cool.
These things are depth adjustable? Because I assume you want it to go to the bottom, but not straight.
So this,
very cool.
And there's actually a safety release also because we make it in the polymer. Like if this thing actually were to get like completely stuck, and like built up to 15 bar of pressure, it would break it.
Yep, right.
So there's an over pressure
Yeah.
valve.
That's really interesting.
But it doesn't get hot because we use a really thick version of the. I think the machine manufacturers should all start shipping their machines with them. We're building stuff beyond industrial standards.
Exactly.
Like you take something that's like made for the cafe. Our shit's made like actually to last like several times longer than
Right,
that.
exactly.
People
And-
choose to use it at home because it looks nice and it's not huge. And
Right,
it's nice to look
yeah.
at.
So what we just saw there was a quick demonstration by Douglas Weber of Weber Workshops with their Springclean, which is something that you may see in the home environment, but I think is more commercially applicable at the end of the day. What it is a cleaning device that you actually go ahead and lock into your portafilter, and as you can see, that spring compresses. You did see some spray out of there, which is an overpressure valve to make sure that that doesn't explode or anything like that, which hopefully that wouldn't happen. But anyways, so what that's doing is compressing the spring and filling that with cleaning solution and water. And then once you get to a certain volume, you're going to go ahead and turn that off and it will feed all of that water back into there. If you compare that to a traditional blank portafilter, it's obviously much larger in volume, which makes your cleaning cycles much, much more efficient. I think this is a huge step forward in the right direction for commercial applications of cleaning, and obviously can be also used in the home environment if you have a machine that is applicable. You can also see in that video that he talked a little bit more about how he engineers his products, that they are, yes, adopted for the home, but really designed to exceed commercial standards, which I think is obviously a great point.
To the app. So we have an app that controls the Ion Beam. What it does is that you can set different. So for example, ionizing power right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it on high right now because it's a big space.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it on high. You can set some auto up to save some battery.
Okay.
And also do some smart static neuralizing with the orbit. But that's not really, That's not for everybody. But this one, if you turn it on high, it's usually good to go. So did you see the one without it yet?
No, but
Okay, so let's start with without one. Okay, so
mini rain.
so you see a lot of static around it. So it's like that, right? And then It's little, and then dump it out so you can see these coffee are just stuck there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't knock it out, but you clean that. So now it's empty, and then you turn the ion beams back and shoot it at the coffee. So it becomes very fluffy, see?
It is.
Very fluffy.
Ducks before. And
that does the same thing, but not
So
just sitting
So
there
good.
every time.
What is the price point?
150.
150. Yeah. That's not bad. That's not bad at
That's
all.
actually-
yeah.
And this end, it shoots out positive ions.
Positive is going this way.
This goes
So
negative.
yeah, so it's neutralizing the positive ions that are charged
Right,
when it's going
right.
through. Yeah.
However, there are some coffee, most likely the darker roasted in our own testing, we can't be sure, but
Yeah.
some dark coffee actually generates a negative static.
Gotcha.
And then you have to use the positive to equalize it.
Interesting.
You can just do it, yeah.
So do you just flip it, or is that something in app? Oh
You just
yeah.
flip it over.
Really interesting.
Alright, so what we just saw there was Acaia's new product, the Acaia Ion Beam, which is a ion neutralizer to help take away static charge from coffee, similar to what you would get with RDT, which is obviously the industry-wide accepted standard. But I think for a commercial application, if you're grinding a lot of coffee, this is very interesting. Also in the home environment, it doesn't make it worse to add a little bit less static to the coffee. So if you can use this and RDT in your home environment, I think it works really well. I think the Acaia Ion Beam is a really great product because what it does is it takes an industry-wide accepted practice from another industry, which I would call the music production industry, and uses this same technology to pull static away from coffee. I think the price point's not too bad at $150, and especially if you can integrate it to many different grinders that don't have that previous tech, like the Fellow Gen 2 or something like that. I think it's really interesting, and I like that they did that. I think it's pretty foolproof. Again, I'm not a huge fan of connecting everything to apps, and I know Acaia is pretty keen on doing so, but if you can turn it on and just run it as is and kind of run it with the expectation that, oh, this is my baseline, I'm always going to use it this way, that's pretty good. Nothing to really complain. I think the Ion Beam will be something that we'll see a lot more in commercial environments, and I think a lot more commercial applications as we go forward, and as we pull away from just doing RDT since it's not so applicable to the commercial environment. Would I buy one at the end of the day? I think yes. If it's not just for testing and a review, I think it's really interesting to have around the shop to help do away with the static. It helps in any way possible, which we'll talk about in another video about how static works and how we can reduce it aside from RDT, because I have some interesting opinions about that. But yeah, I think they're interesting. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about the Ion Beam, and let's go to the next one.
Hey, Ryan.
Colby's here, our founder.
So what you just saw was a very quick clip that we took of a new product that's being released. I found one at SCA, and that was the first time I ever saw one in person, but I do know some of the people there, and shout out to the people who I do know from there who watch us. Hey, how are you doing? But I love the Expo is what it's called. It's a home coffee brewer that essentially takes what I would call similar to a Keurig pod, but compostable, and it puts you through the full brew cycle. What you do is you're gonna go ahead and rip that label off, and then it's actually the whole beans, which you'll then pour into a grinder, a conical burr set that they have inside of there. You'll put the cup down in its little holder that you saw. It'll move over, accept the grinds, move it back over, and then do a little bit of a pour over. You can see in the pour that it's kind of, the water spout is a little angled out, and that's because they're using, again, static electricity to help pull that in different ways and orientations, which I thought was a creative move at the end of the day. I tried the coffee and I liked it a lot. I think it's going to be pretty expensive. I think they're around $800 to $1,000, so not cheap by any means. When you compare it to other similar coffee applications, I think they'll get a lot of criticism from non-specialty people being like, oh, my Keurig is $10 at Target versus this, which is 100 times that. But I am hoping that their target market is not just those people, but it's more angled towards the specialty people who will be much more widely adopting of this.
What's going on, man?
And what we saw there was a quick video of the Weber Workshop's Moonraker, but as you can see, I actually have one in front of me, so we'll take some quick little looks at it. I want to leave this for a more comprehensive review, but ultimately tell you that I do think this is a pretty enjoyable product. As you can see, there are the many spinning different needles, both in height and orientation, that make for essentially what they call it as complete coverage. So this is really covering all of the bases. The way that it spins, and the way that it spins are these different individual gears, similar to how a watch works, which I thought was pretty interesting. I am concerned about some of these outer edge pins that will most definitely bend, kind of hitting the edge of the portafilter or something like that. So you have to be very, very careful. However, it does come with replacement pins, which I thought was pretty nice. This version, plastic gears inside, not $500. This one's pretty competitive to the OCD tamper, which I like a lot. And it's still made of metal and glass on the top. It's not like everything is plastic, still a CNC base as well. So I do like this. I'm interested to talk a little bit more about these and our whole Weber setup, which is something that we'll cover in a future video. But at the end of the day, that's everything I have for you. These were some of the most interesting products at SCA that I saw that I figured you would want to see as well. And let me know if you like these kind of formats of videos, something a little more conversational, something covering what we do in our daily life. I think this might just pertain to a lot of people's interests in the specialty coffee world. As we move forward, I'm always interested in exploring new realms of what we do in our business, be it the commercial side, the consulting side, the roasting side. There's so many interesting avenues that we here at Coffee House work in, and I'd love to share them all with you. That's everything I have for you. I appreciate you tuning in and watching some coverage about what we did at SCA and telling you about some of my favorite products, or at least some takes on products that you may have seen in the news recently. Again, I'm Luke from Coffee House. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave your comments down below. And one quick note before you do head out, make sure you don't leave yet, is that down below you'll see a link to our Facebook group, which is something that we are bringing back. Back in the pandemic, we had a nice little booming Facebook group of some very dedicated coffee enthusiasts. And I would love to create a forum for people like you back again in the Facebook world. So we will be doing that. Follow down below, follow all the links down below to shop, to learn more, to engage with the rest of us. I'm Luke from Coffee House. I've probably said it 10 times in this video, but thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.